before we get started, if you're anything like me, and I know a lot of people are the same, really strive to be the best version of ourselves that we can possibly be. And it's tough. Life gets in the way, doesn't it? But we keep trying, and I have personally lots of books on my bookshelf which are there that could help me. And I haven't finished. There's a lot of them. I would say more than 50% of the books that are on my bookshelf
Mm.
that are personal development books, I have not finished. Some of them I haven't started. Some of them I've read a little bit of, and many of which, even the bits that I've read have been really quite. I've had aha moments. Yeah, there are lots of books that influence our lives. So I just love you to put in the chat if there are any books that are really have been pivotal for you, that you would recommend to others. What books have you read that actually, or you started to read, that you thought, yeah, this book is amazing. It's really made a difference, or, just even
So
just for a moment.
Paul says Learning How to Learn by Londoner Idris Shah.
Oh, interesting. Nice. Nice.
Of
Any other
online
thoughts?
courses called Learning How to Learn.
I like that. I like that whole concept in terms because we do need to learn how to truly learn.
I think my favorite's got to be the How to Win Friends and Influence People. Dale
Uh-huh.
Carnegie's old one. Brianna says The Four Agreements by Miguel Ruiz.
Yeah, fantastic. I find it difficult to pinpoint one, to be honest, because I
Yes.
think that they're all different, aren't they? And even this a book on the same topic by another author, they have a just
Yeah.
slightly different take on it, and there's still like a moment that you take from it. Business model you, sorry. Ah, interesting. Well, I'm really interested because I'm always interested in finding out what books are really influencing people right now. So, are there any books sitting on your shelf that you haven't finished or you haven't read?
The
I've
Artist's Way. I started multiple times and I cannot get past chapter one.
And why is that then?
It's a philosophical disagreement with the author. That's all.
Aha, okay. That's interesting. Yeah. The Dale Carnegie book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that I mean that's a classic, isn't it? It's been around for. I remember when I was a kid, my dad was telling me about it. He read it decades ago, half a century ago. So, yeah, it's classic and it's been around for a long time.
But I kind of understand why Paul says he's been able to pick it up and not finish it.
Yeah, yeah. And really, when we think about it, we all have these books on our bookshelf, and we know that there's a lot of knowledge inside them. But life gets in the way, doesn't it? And we just, for whatever reason, or maybe we have philosophical disagreement with the author Maya, but there's lots of reasons why we haven't read them. But the bottom line is, there's a lot of wisdom in these books, and it's a shame for them to sit on the shelf and for us to not to know what's inside them. So despite all of our good intentions, yes, life gets in our way, time runs out, and nothing changes. We've got the book, we bought it, so we feel good in that respect. But then, if you're anything like me, you feel a bit guilty that it's still sitting there unread, unopened even. And then, secondly, the books that you did read, how much have you actually applied from what
Yeah.
you've learned? Might have had a few aha moments, but what did they do to your life really? How has it changed your life?
There are very few books I would say that I have implemented extensively. Again, How to Win Friends and Influence People stands out as the one that had an effect because I did implement a lot of it.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that there's a big difference between knowing something and doing something about it, isn't there? If you can think about, it's not just about reading these kind of books, but in life, you can have the knowledge, you can know what you're supposed to do, but you just don't get around to doing it, for whatever reason. So, reading doesn't just directly change our lives. There's a gap. There's a gap between knowing and doing. Um, and I suppose, there's lots of different reasons around why there's that gap for each one of us. Okay, what's stopping us from moving from that knowing to doing stage, from making that lasting change? Um, it requires some kind of external influence almost sometimes to give us a little bit of a nudge, or just to give us an insight on how to start, how to move forward with the knowledge that we might have gained from these books. Now, AI, just put a one in the chat if you've been on any of our workshops in the past, because we've run a number of AI workshops before. Have any of you been on? Yeah, Brianna, excellent. That's good. It's good to know. My
And a few of them.
strategy models from books. Oh, that's cool. Right. Excellent. So yeah, AI helps us enormously, and it can produce, it can't just summarize a book. It can give us a whole load of information around it. It can help us move forward. Right. So what I've done, because my background is a mixture. I've got from a business perspective, I've got um, a corporate background, a management consultancy background, and delving now in AI on the consultancy side. And on the personal side, I'm very much interested in mindset, personal development, psychology, all that kind of stuff. So I absolutely love personal development, success books, mindset books, self-help, all that kind of stuff. I'm really, really, yeah, I can soak it all up. But like I said, life gets in the way, and there's only so much you can actually soak up. So I've kind of developed this app, which I'm absolutely loving using, and I want to introduce that to you today. Let me show you what this is. So this is the Book Coach app. I need to change the logo. It's in beta at the moment. It's just I'm looking for beta testers. I'm looking for people to give me feedback so that we can make this even better. And in the process, you'll learn a lot about a number of books. You'll see what I've done here. I've actually got a lot of books, and well, I say a lot. There's about 150 books in here, personal development and books around all sorts of different things. And I'm sure that you'll see some of these books and recognize them, and maybe they're on your shelf, maybe you've read them, maybe you haven't.
I have so many of these on my bookshelf that I have not read or I have not finished.
What I'm going to show you today is going to give you an opportunity to get the insights from them without having had read it. So the first thing on this app, is we need to set up a profile. So what I've done here is I've created this app where we have a very basic profile in the system. That profile, I'll show you here, if I clicked on this little profile button here, is it's as much information as you want to give it. Now, this profile doesn't go anywhere. It stays on your device. Whatever device you're using, it'll stay on that device. So it's not shared with me, it's not shared with anywhere, it's just on your system. And it's asking for your roles in your life. Your life and work. So I'm a mum, I've got two boys, 19 and 16. I look after my elderly parents, but I'm also an online community manager in Meetup with Maya, and with an AI business change consultant as well. Whoops, go back to the profile. So that's what I've told it about myself. You can give it as much information as you want. It also asks for things that you like to do, your favorite hobby or favorite interests. I've put cooking and traveling here, but you could put tennis or football, running or baking or knitting or painting, or whatever it is that you are enjoy doing. You add this into this box here, and then what the system will do is it will knowing a little bit about you, will explain and give you an overview of the book, but in a way that really resonates with you and your interests. So it gives you a more personalized overview, and then the opportunity to really engage with the teachings of the book. You can toggle your hobby and interest off if you want to stop using that metaphor. But I'll show you first what it's like with that metaphor on it. And also you just give anything else that, your coach, your book coach might like to know about you. So I'm just going to add in here, a time is always a juggling act. For me, very little me time and seem very stressed and tired much of the time. But you can add whatever you want, and just save that. When you click save, you will then be taken to this library, which has all the books that you've seen here. Now you can have two views on this library. You can look at it with, it's not got all the pictures in here, but it's got a number of them. Or you can just look at a list here of the books, and you can sort that by category, or you could sort it by author, or you could just do a search for a particular book, a bit of the name or a bit of the author's name, and it will find the book for you if it's in the library. Alternatively, what you can do is you can ask and say, right, I've got some, something I particularly want to work on. Let's say it's got here an example. I want to stop procrastinating. I'm going to say um, time management. I just write time management, and it'll know what I'm talking about.
And I assume if you tell it more, it'll give you a more nuanced response.
Yes, but basically, this isn't your coach. This is a book finder. So this is
Ah,
basically going to help you find within the library the books that perhaps are going to help you deal with whatever it is that you want to deal with. So I'm saying I want to look at time management. It's giving me a few suggestions here: getting things done, 4,000 weeks, deep work, feel good, productivity. And from here, you can just click on getting things done. Sounds like that might be a good one. So you can click on that and it will take you to this screen here, which is the book page. And then you start interacting with that book. So it starts off by giving you a brief overview of the book, but knowing, as you say, says Karen, as a busy mum, Karen, professional, juggling so many roles, you know the feeling of. So it basically. I'm just going to close this because this little thing, because I can't see otherwise. So basically, gives you an overview of the book, but kind of relating a little bit to me, on based on the information that I've given it so far. So I said I like cooking, and it said, well, this groundbreaking methodology offers a recipe for clarity, much like a well-organized kitchen makes cooking a joy instead of a chore. So basically, it's feeding back the essence of the book, the content of the book, but in a way that resonates very much with me because I like cooking. So I'm going to understand what it's really saying on a different level to if I were to read a very generic summary, because it's relating it back in a way that I can, oh, right, okay, in the kitchen, yeah, yeah, seeing cooking as a well-organized kitchen is more of a joy than it is a chore. So it brings it to life. It brings the book and the teachings to life for you. Now, it's important to add here that this is all AI generated. Okay, these are not the words of the author per se. They are a take of the words from the author based on your profile. Okay. Um, and it's a good intro. It gives you a good overview of the teachings of the book, of what it's all about, how it can be applied to yourself, and maybe whether you want to read the whole thing or not. You don't need to, because actually what we can give you through this is a really good personalized introduction and kind of a plan to apply the teachings of that book to you in your circumstances. So as you can see here, it's asking me, how would I like to explore this book today? Do I want a personalized overview? Do I want to explore concept, stories and lessons and action plan, or do I just have a question? So I can engage with it however I choose here. So I'm just going to choose one and get a personalized overview. Now this overview, so it's asking me here, what is my main goal or area that I'd like to work on, or is there no context that I want to give it? So if I had something specific in mind, I could put this here and it would help me understand the book with that in mind and therefore apply it more in my world. I'm just going to say no context here because I just want it to give me a general insight into the book. So it's going to give me a general insight into the book, but it's going to be personalized to me, as I said before. So it's going to, it knows my roles, it knows my hobbies or my favorite hobbies, and it knows a little bit whatever I've chosen to give it. So now it's saying, right, that's fine that I've got no context. Except we can still craft a truly insightful and personalized journey through their teachings, drawings, and what they know about me already. Okay, so now it's coming back to the fact that I like cooking and I like traveling. So it says, imagine planning a magnificent trip or orchestrating a complex multi-course dinner party. You could just throw ingredients together or set off without a map. You wouldn't just throw ingredients together or set off without a map, would you? So basically, it's giving me the teachings and the concepts in this book, but applying it in a way that makes sense for me based on something that I enjoy doing. So it resonates with me on a deeper level than if I were to read a generic response. Now, as you can see, this then goes into an overview of the book, but relaying it back throughout to my interests. So it really does connect more with me than if I were to read it a general insight into the book. Having said that, if you recall, when I went onto my profile, there was a toggle there. I'll go back to that. And that toggle was to say I want to toggle off using my interests. Now, I put this option here because some people might want that. Some people might not. But let me take another book here. Let's see. I'll just
No excuses, Brian Tracy.
sorry, say that again.
Brian Tracy's No Excuses. Just a little further down. You just passed it, actually. Stop.
Right, yeah.
Right there.
Okay. So now it comes again into this book page, and on the book page it's weaving its magic. It gives me an overview of the book. And if you can see here,
this one is a lot drier.
It's dry. Yeah, exactly. It's not actually giving me any kind. It knows what I do for a living and it knows my roles in life, but it's not giving me the explanation, which I'm going to say no context again.
So it doesn't get the metaphors that it would have grabbed from whatever your hobby was, or
Right. Exactly. And sometimes you want that, but sometimes you don't. With me working through this app and playing around with it and getting the value, sometimes I just want to get the bare bones of it, and other times actually, if I really, I suppose maybe because I've been testing it, sometimes I'm just looking at it to test it rather than to really learn the knowledge. But when I really want to learn the knowledge, then actually using my hobbies and my interests is far better. It just connects with me on a much deeper level.
I'm thinking also if you switched to apply mode, it might make more sense and resonate more when you're saying, okay, think of it like if you were, in my case, painting.
Yeah.
You do layers, you don't do everything at once. You take the tiniest little thing and start there.
Yeah, exactly. So, you have the option, therefore, to choose whether you want to use it for your own
I
and
have
connect it
failed
to
to
your,
maintain discipline, says Hariom.
yeah. So then you can just carry on from here. So, what would I like to explore? Do I want to explore these concepts in more detail? So I could say, um, strategic time management. Let me just say, okay, I want to go into strategic time management. Let's explore this more. Okay. And basically, you can, right? Okay. So before we dive deeper, how does the idea of this resonate with my current situation? Considering the feeling of being stressed and tired, having little time for me, what aspects of daily time management feel most challenging right now? Juggling too many things out of my control.
So if you've got questions, folks, drop them in the chat and we'll answer them in the Q&A bit in just a few minutes.
So here it goes in a lot more detail into the strategic time management element. Okay, so basically you can delve deep into the teachings of the book and really get some valuable lessons in a way that really will resonate with you and have a deeper impact than possibly reading the book or reading a summary, an objective summary of the book that's not personalized to you. But in addition to that, can you help me apply this in my life?
So you can come at that from here as well as going through the
Yeah.
original prompts there. Okay.
Once you're in this book page, you can chat to your book coach
Right.
and explore it however you want to, really. So it's saying, okay, yeah, that's fine, fantastic. It wants to know a little bit more. What specific situation, challenge, or goal would I like this action plan to address? I will just say competing demands on my time are stressful. I want to be managing it better. Okay, so before we build up, there are many important considerations, constraints, challenges I would take consideration. For example, so it's asking for as much information as I'm happy to give it to then help me put an actual action plan in place. So, when you read a book, that's all well and good, but like we said, very often might have an aha moment, but you don't do anything about it. This actually helps you understand the book on a deeper level beyond just reading it, because it's you get the essence of it, you get it applied to you in a way that really resonates well with you. You then can explore and converse around the concepts so you can really get an understanding of it. And then you can say, okay, well, how can I apply this to me? And if you give it enough information, it can really help you put action steps in place so that you can start to make those changes and bridge that gap I talked about before from reading to doing. So, in many cases, many books on my shelf are sitting there unread. So now I've got the opportunity to actually learn the core teachings of the book, not having read it, within minutes, and then delve into the bits that are relevant to me, see how it can work and be applied in my world, and then put an action plan together. So I'm going to say nothing particular here because I'm just trying to get through this. But really, if you're going to do this properly, you would actually say, well, what are the considerations? What constraints or limitations do you have? What does the coach need to know about what you want to achieve so that it can really help you put an action plan together? And so
So if you are, for example, at a 9 to 5, you could say things like, I don't get time during the daytime. It has to be in the evening. I do my cooking after that. I only have 30 minutes a day, whatever it is that could restrict what it is you're able to achieve in a day.
yeah, exactly. And then it comes up with an action plan with some key action steps that I can take forward. What to do, why it matters, and how to get started, which is an excellent way forward. And then it'll say to me, okay, my first move is to take 15 minutes to identify my top 3 to 5 demands of my time, circle the single most important frog from that list. Does it? So it's also giving me an opportunity to revise that plan. If that plan doesn't work for me, I say, well, actually, yes, but no. And then talk to it, engage with it, and it can help you. So it's so much more than like providing you a book summary in a very bland, generic way. It really starts to coach you on this. Now that's as far as this app goes at the moment, although I have got plenty of thoughts around where
Hmm.
it can go from here. But I would really appreciate some feedback and thoughts on whether you would like to actually get 30 days to give this a trial and help beta test it for me, basically, and give some feedback because I absolutely love it. I mean, honestly, I dip into it, even if it's just 5 minutes a day, I dip into it. Or if I'm feeling like, oh, I'm procrastinating right now, I need a little bit of nuggets to help me kind of get out of that mode that I'm in. This says it in a way that resonates nicely with me when I've got that hobbies and interests on, because it just connects with something that I like doing, and it connects in a way that just makes sense.
Yeah, I can see this being really a good addition to anyone who's got a bookshelf full of books they haven't read or that they're planning to read.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. Um,
totally.
what are the thoughts? Any thoughts? I would really love to hear
Hariom was
what you
asking, is
think.
it subject to the current session? I assume, Hariom, that you're asking if it retains memory across sessions.
Okay, well, actually, what you can do, it does retain memory. It's on your computer. So if you wipe your cache memory, then it will go. Okay, but if you don't, it'll stay on your device unless something happens. But what you can also do here is you see where my cursor is at the bottom left-hand side of the screen. You can download your conversation. So, you can save those conversations. And when you
I'm,
come
I'm
back,
going to
I'll show you
come
again.
back to
If
this
I
later,
come
Karen.
back, if I go back, I'm coming out of the library. Now I go back into that book. No, no excuses. If I go back to that book, it says here, do I want to pick up from where I left off, or do I want to start afresh? So I can choose to resume my conversation, which will take me back through the whole chat that I had before, because it's still in the memory on my computer. And as I say, whatever you put into here doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't go to the AI language model that's behind it. It doesn't go to me. It just stays on your computer until, like I say, until the memory's wiped or something happens like that.
I'm just dropping a suggestion. I'd love to see a search for this, not for the books, but for the conversations, right? I had a conversation with the AI. I knew there's something in a book, some phrase that triggered me that I want to go back to. I'd really love to be able to find it without having to read through all my conversations.
Okay, across books.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Just my conversations. I don't care about the books themselves. What
no,
was it
just the
that got
conversation.
me excited?
That's interesting. Yeah, I'll have a look at that, see if that's something we can do. When is the website expected to go live? Well, it's in beta at the moment. So, what I'm offering today, if you're interested, hang on, I've got here like a sign up form. If you want to start using it, and giving me some, if you're happy to give me some feedback, then I would love you to have a go, and I will set you up an account on there. You can use it for 30 days, maybe longer, but I'd like some feedback in that time. And yeah, just so you know, I'm looking for external input because I'm loving it. I really am. I think that there's so much value in it, and also there's a lot of ways in which it can go.
And I'm also going to suggest that it makes sense to get outside input because there's always the creator's bias. Mom always thinks her baby is the most beautiful one on earth.
Exactly.
So,
And this is my baby.
yeah,
Aside to my
yeah.
two boys who aren't babies anymore. Um, any other thoughts?
I'm going to suggest that everybody who showed up here gets to be on the beta list by default, or is that
No,
is that is that too invasive, folks? If we just
I
add
think
you all to the beta list.
all you have to do is put your name and email address on the because there's some people who have registered online on Zoom but aren't here. So I would like to, if you want to be a beta tester, fill out that form. It's free. Okay. I
That
just
makes
want to
sense.
hear from you. I want to get some other perspectives on this tool because, as I say, I love it, but maybe I'm missing a point here somewhere. Um, so
Brianna's asking if there's a possibility for voice interaction.
that's something I can look at adding. It's not on there at the moment.
I
Um,
can tell you from having built a couple of voice apps myself, Brianna, that there's a higher cost typically, because things like 11 Labs tend to be expensive, and the ones that are not as good as 11 Labs tend to be not as engaging. The voices are a little flatter, not quite as good. But
mm,
yeah, it's doable, certainly. It's a question
yeah,
of
I'll have a look at that. Thank you for that input. That's really helpful. But you can see how quick it is as well to really gather some
very quick. Yeah.
really valuable, insightful knowledge and wisdom. Um, yeah,
And by the way, if you are folks, just like Brianna suggested, you prefer to listen to it rather than read it, that's an option. Um, Rachel, sign up. There's that link there. Um, so
oh,
feel
thank you,
free to come
Rachel.
up with other ways that you would like to interact if there's something missing or if there's something more that you would like to see in the profile, maybe saved. Like, what do you think would make it more helpful for you?
Yeah, and that's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. You know, if I know for me anyway, this is it's amazing. It gives you so
I
much input, but I also know that, I'm just one person and people look at things and do things in different ways, and maybe it's not so helpful to others. So, I would really appreciate some feedback. Um,
I'm not sure this is doable, Karen, but I'm going to put it in there anyway as a suggestion.
mhm,
um, Cross conversation, not analysis, but kind of, you've read 3 books on personal development and a
mm,
suggestion from, which one should I implement? Like,
mhm.
because it's competing priorities sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, I'm thinking about cross-pollination, so actually to say, okay, I really want to know about, like, say, procrastination. Okay, let's not just take one book. Let's actually look at this whole thing. Okay, you
Mhm.
know, eh, so you
Look at the space
get
and
it.
find out. Yeah.
Yeah. So this becomes really a lot more, um, yeah, a lot more involved. But we're taking one step at a time. Oh, thanks so much, Harriet. I really appreciate it. It wouldn't allow you to put in your name, only your email. Oh, really? Well, if I've got your email address, that's fine. Um, I'll reach out to you. Hopefully your
Uh,
email address has got Harriet in it. I can set you up as Harriet.
if not, just go to all of them and say, "Hi, Harriet." I think 90% of them will respond saying, "I'm not Harriet, but thanks."
Um, yeah, I mean, I built this. workshop as a personal development shortcut. I think it is. Reading these books is hugely valuable. And actually, I'm not saying this is in place of reading those books necessarily, but if you find something, you find a book here that actually seems to really be right up your street, exactly what you want to know about, you want to learn, and you like the thinking that's behind it, then I would recommend reading the book in the words of the author, because this is not the
Yes.
words of the author, but it is the essence of everything the author is teaching.
It's a distillation. And I'm also thinking, of the books I have read, sometimes it helps to have a
Mm.
third party say, how could I actually implement this?
Exactly,
Right?
exactly.
I've read it, I understand the concepts, but I'm not seeing the angle to start using
Exactly.
it.
That's right. And I mean, I think that if you've read a book and this is something that um, you can then, if by the way, if there are some books that you would like to see on here that are not on here, not on the list, then reach out, let me know. Click that at the top on the if you go back to the library page here, um, you'll see here suggest a book. Click that, put in your suggestion. Um, and the same for feedback. I really appreciate your feedback. Found it useful, incomplete, especially with subject books that have detailed frameworks, methodology. What worked much better was my system taking me through a directed Q&A based on the framework methodology, then generating a very detailed report. This report was very full coverage based on the framework methodology. Yeah, I mean, I think that, as I said, these aren't the words of the author. This gives you a good introduction that starts to help you apply the content, but it's not going to go down into a,
To as much detail
yeah, as
I
you're
think yours
perhaps
is saying.
suggesting here. Maybe that's a next iteration, something that I can build into it, and I really value that feedback. Because as it stands at the moment, it gives you that overview. It can delve into that overview as much as you want it to, but there are limitations.
Yeah, yeah.
There are limitations for sure. But so the other thing is when I go live, I'm hoping that I can go live in July. Then I'm proposing for beta testers it's just be about £10 a month to have access to this.
To the full library. That's
Especially
pretty darn good. Yeah.
and the library will just continue to grow with all the recommendations that will come in.
Yeah. That sounds like a pretty good deal.
Mm.
And I'm lucky I'm already in the book club. Yay. The book coach.
Any other thoughts?
I think this has the potential to be really helpful. For me, it is anyway, because I know that I've already found so many books that I intended to read, and now I can just get a little shortcut to them.
Yeah, and it's exactly that shortcut really. Um, Shortcuts.
I like reading, don't get me wrong. So the idea of being able to get the gist of the book and decide whether this is the one I spend my, 3 hours today on, it's helpful because 3 hours is not a lot of time, and it's not time that I can spend on reading every book I want.
Yeah. But imagine if you put 3 hours of your time into this, how much ground
Oh, that
you
would
would
be even
cover
better.
in
Yeah,
comparison. But
yeah,
also then let's say there's a book that you were thinking of buying and you haven't bought it, but actually it's on here, so you can delve into it and learn a little bit about it and actually decide whether it's a book that you really want to buy or not.
yeah.
Is it focusing on what you want to learn with it? So I've just given you a look at the Book Coach app. And yeah, like I said, I dip into this, 5 minutes a day, if I'm not trying to work on it. But